Hey YouTube, this is Zach with Achilles Financial. Today I'm going to be covering STEM Inc. once again. We got to witness their earnings last week and we've had a lot of coverage on the channel covering STEM, but they came out with this announcement today after hours, causing the stock to drop down to about 23.45 after hours, which was about a 5% drop after hours. This is something that I was expecting to occur by way of a share offering, but I was honestly expecting to see this after the Q4 earnings where they had announced when they bring in the bulk of their revenue. I was expecting the stock to go on a run at that point in time. The company doesn't feel like it is appropriate to wait until that occurs, so instead they're going to raise that money now. I imagine that this has been in discussions and potentially would have already occurred, or they were hoping that they'd see a bigger run off of the share price last week. So what this is, what a convertible senior note really is, this is essentially a options contract that pays interest. So this is not going to be offered to the everyday investor. Most of us are not going to be able to take advantage of something like this. They are going to be looking for institutional buyers, and you can go and actually determine what that is under the Securities Act of 1933. Oftentimes, I imagine that this is going to be handled through specific funds, and at a certain point, there is a number of wealthy individuals that instead of investing by themselves, they may have a $50,000 buy-in into individual funds that may go out and say, hey, we are investing into XYZ type of offering. So this is pretty common, and I think that, or I'm interested to see what some of the interest rates finally come out to be, because this is, again, going to be a convertible senior note. So the company STEM is going to be paying interest on a biannual basis to the shareholders or to the note holders up until 2028 when these are due. So what we're looking at here is right at a 6-year offering, and we haven't seen the finalized interest rate because this is not a mortgage, because this is not a AAA rated company like a Salesforce, Microsoft, or Apple. This is not going to be a 1 or 2% interest rate, but it is going to be low, so I understand what they're offering right here. This is a company that currently does not have any debt on their books, so they are taking advantage of that. They're taking advantage of their strong balance sheet to raise some of this money. Keep in mind they've got around $500 million in cash sitting on their books right now. So the thought process here is that they can raise additional money. The idea behind this, or what I would focus on, is that this can be potentially dilutive to the overall share price once this is converted. So at certain points in time, and that is in the brokerage or the agreement here, talking about whatever the criteria is to be able to redeem the shares. But you can see that the notes are going to be redeemable in part after December 5th and before the 45th scheduled trading day immediately before the maturity date. And that is if the price of shares common stock is up 130% from that conversion price. And so they will have the capability to redeem these 4 additional shares depending on the individual pricing at that point in time. This will be dilutive to current shares, and as such, I, again, am very interested to see how this has an impact on the overall market. What they plan to use this on is pretty broad at this point in time, and that's what I am interested to see, because this is a lot of money. Again, they have $500 million on their books. They're bringing on another $350 million. And what this is focusing on, or what they're taking care of, is to utilize a new green expenditure, which the entire company is pretty green investments due to the battery tech. And so they have the capability to do a pretty wide latitude of offering here. What I would expect this to be used for, due to the significant amount of cash that they raised for this, to be potentially used in an acquisition. And depending on what that may look like, that could be a big deal. But overall, it is going to help them grow top line revenue, and hopefully it's going to help them grow from a gross margin perspective, which is what they're actively trying to grow right now with their Athena software platform. So that's what I would expect it to do. My concern is the market is exuberant, maybe the best word to describe it. There is a very high valuation on a lot of companies, and as such, I'm hopeful that they don't take this cash and go and spend it on a company that is currently a high flyer and they pay too much for that company. But again, so far, I continue to trust in STEM management. They've done a very, very good job leading the company to this point in time, and as such, I'm going to continue to follow them. I don't know if I would necessarily say I am immediately going to take advantage of this dip. I did buy some more shares this morning in my HSA account, so this is something that I've definitely been following and continue to add to every 2 weeks on payday. But it's one of those things where I'd like to see what the shares do for the remainder of this week, how they take the news, as well as any additional information coming from the company. All in all, I do think that this is going to be beneficial for the overall company. It continues to bolster their already strong cash position. I'm just very interested in watching and seeing how they continue to perform and what they use this money for. So that's my opinion on the stock. Again, they're trading at about $23.45 as of the time of filming this, and I'm interested to see how they open up tomorrow. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comment section down below or in the Discord in the description. We have a channel dedicated to STEM, and it's something that we talk about on a routine basis. It's one of my favorite investments personally. And last but not least, if you find this content helpful, please leave a like and subscribe. Thanks. Talk to you later.